And I'm pleased to have with me in this segment our colleague, our new colleague, relatively new, Alex Guardiolal, who's our Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy.
Yep, thank you, Tim. Thank you for
Welcome,
having
Alex. Yeah, and we want to thank our sponsors, the Worcester Regional Airport and Worcester Railers Hockey Club for the help with the show. We're in that time of year, not only Thanksgiving and football and people getting ready for Christmas and Hanukkah, but it's also tax classification season.
Your favorite time of the year.
The most wonderful time of the year. We were joking offline about some Christmas songs that we could put to change the lyrics as it relates to tax classification. But maybe you could talk a little bit about what is tax classification. Anyone who pays their residential tax bill, businesses that pay their commercial industrial tax bill, and personal property tax, because businesses got hit twice. What is it?
Right, so it's the rate that's set by the community, whether it be Worcester or Auburn, who just had their vote, Webster, who just had their vote, Fitchburg, who had their vote, and they were all dual tax rate cities, meaning they had a residential rate for the regular residents, plus you had a separate rate for the commercial folks. So you had those two rates plus a personal tax rate, which is your typical inventory, equipment, things of that nature, machinery.
Right.
So in essence, you're having these commercial, this commercial world is paying twice in comparison to the residents.
Right.
So,
and that's really a choice. So state law was changed, I believe, in the 80s. But in any event, Worcester, I think in 1984, moved from a single rate, which is what most communities in Massachusetts are. I think it's approximately 250 or give or take a few that are single rate communities. So that means homeowners and business owners pay the exact same. So they pay, say, let's take a figure, $18 per $1,000 of valuation.
correct.
And we just saw Shrewsbury, which is a single rate community, lower the tax rate, single rate, so that benefited both homeowners and businesses.
Absolutely, and you can see the difference of what's happening in Shrewsbury on the Route 9 corridor. You see businesses growing, a lot of national-based companies are coming into Shrewsbury because of the fact that it's a lower tax rate for them.
Right.
So in comparison to Worcester, where we have a dual tax rate, and it is more than double the amount for the commercial
Worcester's
rate.
about $34,
Correct.
and some of the other communities we're seeing single rates of $17, $18.
Right.
And that's a challenge. I mean, the good news, I think, and we have been beating the drum at the chamber that, particularly because of the personal property tax, that there's some sectors of the economy that hits harder than others.
Absolutely.
So manufacturers, which have expensive equipment, other equipments that maybe companies that are doing research that have equipment kind of heavy. And unfortunately, we've seen as the majority of the Worcester City Council over the last several years has raised the commercial industrial tax rate, including the personal property tax. A couple of manufacturers move out of the city.
Right. I mean, we had, Prime Metals, a big company that
100-year history.
Right, 100 years in the
Morgan
city.
Construction, many people might remember.
Right, Morgan Construction was the original, but it changed to Prime Metals. They left specifically because of the tax rate and the machinery.
Yeah, a major factor, no doubt. And Sutton having a pre-permitted pad-ready site.
Right, pad-ready sites. We don't have that really.
Sutton put a TIF on the table.
Right.
Curtis Industries certainly know that was one of the factors. And
absolutely.
Boylston put, the community that they went to put on the table a much more affordable single rate and a TIF.
Right.
So, it does make a difference. We have said consistently at the chamber that it's not the sole issue, but it is a major factor in some sectors more so than others. When they've got a limited budget to move and a time frame to move, they'll find that inventory where it exists.
Right, and I mean, we're not just seeing it just in taxes. As the grand bargain got pushed through over the summer, it's just an added expense that they're going to be dealing with.
And for our viewers who might, the grand bargain, so there was some ballot questions that were potentially going to be on the ballot in November.
Right.
The minimum wage.
Yep. Paid medical leave.
Paid medical leave.
Right.
And then the sales tax.
Right. The sales tax was going to go back down, so they made this.
The majority of people voted.
Right. And I think they were polling around 70 to 80% on all of them, meaning that they would have been pushed through and they would have been voted yes. So the governor, along with the legislature, came together and made this
with some of the groups that had pushed the ballot question. But this grand bargain was, how do we prevent it from going to the ballot?
Right.
And ultimately, though, the grand bargain meant the sales tax wouldn't go down, but the minimum wage would increase, but it'd be phased over time.
Right.
And the sick time
Right, they're going to be
paid-
allotted certain amount of time for paid medical leave, similar to the FMLA, but in a little more the family medical leave, at the federal level, and they added this to the state level now, which kind of it makes it difficult for
And all of those add cost to the
Right,
business.
absolutely.
So it's from the smallest business to the largest business. Those are increased costs.
Sure.
And in Worcester, then they've got to grapple with a tax rate that's sometimes
right. You couple
double.
both of them together, and it makes it very expensive to do business.
Right. And so some communities that were dual rate, we just got 2 minutes left, you mentioned, just in the last month, Fitchburg their city council, they're a gateway city community.
Correct.
Gateway city, older industrial base, some similarities to Worcester. Their city council made a commitment that over 10 years they were going to move towards a single rate. They voted a step in that direction.
Aggressively voted that way again. Auburn, again, they're the same,
Dual
right
rate.
next door, the dual rate. They lowered the commercial rate again. And then as of last night, we had Webster, who voted and eliminated the dual rate altogether.
And that was another example where their Board of Selectmen, with the support of the town, said, over a multi-year period, we're going to move back to a single rate and move over time so we're not disproportionately impacting homeowners. And the whole idea of having a single rate is to expand the commercial industrial tax base.
Correct. I mean, the more business you bring in, the more the tax base grows, meaning that you have more folks bringing money into the city. Now,
And jobs.
Workforce, absolutely. But ironically, when you have, industrial companies, you have, all these different commercial-based companies are shouldering most of the tax burden, they tend to leave the city. And now it kind of shifts back to the residents, ironically, who are the ones that are saying...
So when Prime Metals, which is, I think, or Morgan Construction paying close to $500,000 in taxes. When they leave to go to Sutton.
They shift those right back to the residents.
Got it. So we're going to have more to come. We're going to wrap this up, but thank you, Alex, for your good work working with those towns, and we'll see. We'll be talking to the councils and to the community and the business community in the next few weeks.
Yeah, with all the development, we need it.